Well, hello out there, my fellow backyard stargazers, and welcome to this episode of At the Eyepiece. I have to admit, I'm a bit rusty here, so I'm trying to get some things going here for the live stream. And once we get this moving along, oops, let me clear that out. We are going to be sharing a couple of views of some galaxies here tonight, live, as always. Well, as live as we can be, 45-second exposures, sharing the universe. So let's go ahead and get going here. Now, what you are seeing is Sky Safari app. Our telescope is pointed in the constellation Leo. Let me zoom out here. All of these circular objects, by the way, are galaxies. So we are certainly in galaxy time of year right now. Let's go ahead and zoom in because as we have up on the screen, we're going to have the Leo triplet. And this is shared live, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have on the scope. There we are. This is our live view. As you can see, we're using Sharp Cap. We're using a ZWO 294 camera, and we're going to let that build up here. That's our first exposure. No doubt the image will go ahead and improve here as it's going. Am I guiding? I need to make sure that I'm guiding here. And I'm not. So let's clear that image out because we want to make sure that we get a nice, decent view for you. I have to make sure that I'm guiding with my particular setup. There we go. So we'll go ahead and we'll start exposing here. This is 45-second exposures. You're going to see not one, not two, but three galaxies in the same field of view. Coming up right here live at the eyepiece. So bear with and we'll get that showed up on the screen here. Had some microphone issues the last couple of days, so I'm using a different microphone. So hopefully this is coming through okay. Yeah, just did a quick test of our microphone. Okay, so as this image builds up, we're going to let this stack a few here, but you can clearly see we've got M66, which is the galaxy on the lower portion of the screen, M68, no, 65 is to the right, and a lovely, although significantly dimmer, um, edge on spiral galaxy there with a lovely dust lane right through the middle is Ngc 3628. So we're going to let these bring up the stack here. Color should improve as our stack adds more and more signal to this initial image. Let's go back to our Sky Safari app just so that you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here. So here it is. This is a very good representation of our field of view here. Pretty much exactly as we are seeing is our telescopic view right. Well, let me go to the other view. There we go. So let that build on up. All right, so let's go ahead and share some points here, some facts about these. So NGC is a wonderful spiral. Obviously, it's actually interacting with 65 and possibly even 3628, although that interaction happened many, many millions of years ago. Let's see, M66 is about, trying to look up how many light years away, 35 million light years. So right now we're catching the light that left these galaxies 35 million light years ago. Very, very cool. So that's a description of M66. Now, to the right is M65. It's a spiral galaxy as well, but you can see that it's not as edge on as M66 was. But still, you make out some good dust lanes in there as well. This is a magnitude 9.3 object, and let's go ahead and see how far this galaxy is as well. It's about the same distance, uh, 35 million light years away, M65. And then finally, we have the Ngc Galaxy. Now, what's interesting, I find, is that Charles Messier, when he discovered both of these galaxies in the 1780s, uh, obviously, you note that NGC 3628 does not have a Messier number associated. So he actually did not visually pick up this particular galaxy, although it was so close to M66 and M65. This is magnitude 9.5. And yes, it is the dimmest of the galaxies. And let's see, it's again similar with the 66 and 65, 35 million light years away. Now, they will note here that these galaxies do appear to be interacting gravitationally, at least influencing themselves, because there's a tidal tail in NGC 3628, no doubt from the interactions with 65 and 66. So very, very cool. All right, so we've got 6 stacks here. Let's go back to our image. And let me see how that's doing. All right, that's building up a little bit on the red side. So let me go ahead and adjust some of our color correction here. We'll knock down the red and we'll bring up the blue a bit. And you'll see a much more natural look here as we are toning down the strong red cast here to our initial image stack. There we go. That one's not looking too bad at all right now. Let's bring our blue up just a bit. All right, there we go. And hopefully that's coming through on the YouTube channel very well because boy, it looks really nice here on the screen at the eyepiece. So hopefully you're enjoying that. Let's go ahead and take a zoom in here. So let's increase our zoom by a factor of 30%. All right, so of course the main pair here is this beautiful, now we're starting to pick up some of the subtle blues here in NGC, or I'm sorry, M66 and M65 over on the right. And then we have NGC 3628 there with a beautiful dust lane going right through the middle. So let's back out our zoom just a bit. There we go. We got those all framed up pretty nicely here. Absolutely amazing what we can get from our backyard and share live on the air. I mean, this is as close to live viewing as you can possibly get. we also have some very faint galaxies off to the lower left there. I'm not sure if those of you that will be watching this later on can pick up some of the smaller galaxies. I'm talking about if you were looking at M66 here, if you were to go probably about 3/4 of the way to the edge, that is a spiral galaxy. It's IC2763 over there. This is a magnitude 15 galaxy. We're also probably picking up IC2785 over there to the far left hand of this corner of the screen. That's a 15th magnitude elliptical. It's hard to nail down exactly. It could also be 2782 on that far left. But wow, what a great view, and hopefully you all are enjoying it out there as well. Really could use three monitors. I have two monitors, but boy, it doesn't seem to be enough. All right, let's go back to our Sky Safari app. This is kind of where I was telling you on our image, the far left-hand corner, some of those galaxies that we were picking out. Uh, Definitely think I can see the IC2763 there, which is to the far left of M66. But of course, the real showpieces there are the 6665 and 3628. Let's go back to our live view. So this is our camera operating view, if you will. This is the software that runs the camera. And that just goes to show you some of the settings that we're doing. It's a color camera and some of the exposures that we have. And let's go back to just our more zoomed in view. There we go, coming through great. All right, as I leave this view up on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and start looking for our next object here. Maybe we'll just stick with the Messier objects. So let me, just for a moment, let me go back to our Sky Safari app here to show you just how many objects that we have available to us in this region of the night sky. So that green line there that you see to the left, that is an imaginary line called the meridian. It essentially splits the sky up from east to west. And so we're kind of on the western side of this right now. As you can see with the square, we are pointed towards M66 and M65 right over here near the constellation Leo, or within the constellation Leo. You can see just how many of these galaxies are throughout this region. It is absolutely amazing how many galaxies. So we are looking at now, um, whew, wow, that's a lot of galaxies in there. Hopefully you're seeing. These are just the Messier, the ones that are circled and thus highlighted. Those are just going to be the Messier galaxies. So I think we're going to go ahead and start out with maybe going on over to M98 next and working through a couple of our galaxies here for you as we work through them live here on the air at the Eyepiece. Just amazing, though, how many galaxies are out there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save this view. Sorry if that chair is being picked up on the audio. All right, we're going to save this view before moving on to M98. Let's go back to a telescopic view now that we have an idea where we are in the night sky. And once we get this image saved up, we'll go ahead and wait for the next. All right, that one is saved, so we are ready to go. So momentarily, we'll have M98 in our view. All right, so coming up next is going to be M98. Give me a moment while we start the telescope exposure going and the guiding, of course. Guiding is what is needed for my particular telescope so that we can go ahead and sufficiently track these objects to get a nice clear view up on the screen. Some folks with higher end mounts or with just a much better job of doing their alignments might not be able to, might not have the requirement of guiding, but for me, yeah, I've got to go ahead and do that. So we're getting a 45-second exposure here starting. We are guiding M98. Coma Berenices. We are looking at a magnitude 10.1, so it's pretty faint considering what we were looking at earlier. And it looks like to be about 65 to 70 million light years away. All right, so let's go to our telescope view and check out our first exposure so far. So there it is. There's M98. Nice field of view there with a small galaxy just below it that I can see. Nice star with the diffraction spikes. So we'll let this wonderful image show up. Now, of course, Messier 98 is a spiral galaxy, not quite edge on, and of course not quite face on. So it's kind of in between, but it is permitting us to get some nice detail here. Other informative side note here is that M98 is considered to be a member of the Coma Virgo galaxy cluster. And it also has a slight blue shift versus a red shift. A blue light, or the light from it is slightly blue shift, which means this galaxy is approaching us, versus if it was going away from us, would be slightly red shifted. Looks like this was visually seen by Charles Messier in 1782, or 1781 rather. All right, so we got three stacks, and three stacks is doing very, very well for our image right here. Certainly wouldn't be able to get that visually at the eyepiece of a modest telescope, but it would be pretty interesting to track these down visually with really any size aperture, 80 millimeter, 102, 5 inch, 6, 8, whatever it might be. All right, I'm going to let that stack build up here, and I'll be right back live at the eyepiece. Enjoy the view until then. All right, had to crank the air up here in the observatory because it is quite warm. So I do apologize if the audio is coming through a bit worse here, but hey, this is live astronomy for you. Would like to go ahead and share some additional information. We are using a IEQ or Ioptron IEQ 45 Pro mount. On top of that is an Explorer Scientific 8-inch f3.9 Newtonian. And then our main color camera there is the ZWO 294C. And of course, we are bringing this through to you here via the SharpCap Pro version 3.2.5986, which I will tell you they have made some very nice improvements on that from the previous version, and I'm liking this quite a bit now. Got kind of spoiled with the simplicity of previous setup there, which was primarily the Starlight Live program by Paul Shears. Starlight Express kinds of owns that, or I'm not really sure if they own it, but they certainly go ahead and influence that development now. But boy, what a great program that was. The Lodestar camera really is a great camera with that. Ultrastar, which I have never used, would also be very, very nice with that setup. But the Sharp Cap has come a long way, and it's definitely very, very good for EAA now, in my opinion. Before it was, many people liked it prior, but I just think with this latest version, they've made some significant improvements, and I really, really am enjoying it now. All right, so we have 8 stacks right now of these 45-second exposures. Total of 6 minutes of integration here to bring in details of M98. So looking really, really nice. So let's get an idea of where we are in the night sky again with our Sky Safari app. So if we zoom on out of here, we are looking pretty much to the southwest. Very predominant constellation almost directly above you right now is Leo, and we are looking just behind Leo in a much fainter constellation, Coma Berenices. You could see all of these objects right here are Messier objects. Some of them are Galaxy, most of them actually are Galaxies here in this neck of the woods, but one object over there on the left, M53, is actually a globular cluster. Let's go back to our telescope view. There we are. So in just a short span of time, we've seen already four very prominent galaxies and, well, quite a few smaller galaxies down to magnitude 15. Let's go ahead and get ready for our next object here at the eyepiece. You know, I'm going to pick one of my favorites here. I'm going to go to M61, which is going to be our next object here. So let's go ahead and enjoy this view while we can, while I pause the guiding and slew the telescope to M61. All right, so we are guiding, and let's go ahead and do a quick clear of our beautiful M98 that we had up here. So say goodbye to M98 and get ready to say hello to M61. This is going to be another spiral galaxy, but this one's really cool. I really enjoy 61. I think when we call this up, you'll see why. Right off the bat, lovely star field. Not only do we see the prominent M61 here, just about dead center in our field of view, but take a look at about the 10 o'clock position and about the 2 o'clock position from M61. I'm seeing a couple of galaxies there. And then off to the far right of about the 4 o'clock position or so, looks like a pretty clear edge on Galaxy, but the real winner here is going to be M61. Oh, and pay attention to that lovely red star that we have there in the field of view as well. So beautiful, beautiful field of view here. Let's go ahead and let this image stack up, and it's just going to get better and better, folks, from there. This is a 45-second exposure of M61. So M61 was discovered in 1779. Um, And let's go ahead and get an idea of its visual magnitude is 9.7. It's a face-on spiral galaxy, as you can see. But one of the most interesting things that I find for this galaxy is just the way the arm structure is. Let's kind of zoom in on this a little bit more than we normally would. And just take a look at the way the spiral structure is there. It's just very interesting the way that it almost has an angle to one of the spiral arms there. Very interesting formation there visually to see. It's also interesting to note 6 supernova have been discovered in M61 from 1926 all the way to 2008. It looks like 2008 maybe would have been the last one, at least based upon the information here that I'm seeing in my Sky Safari app. By the way, M61 is also 65 million light years away. So let's go over to our Sky Safari app and I'll show you where I'm getting some of this information from. So there's the actual image there on the left within the program, and here is our image that we're seeing live, folks, right on the air, right here on YouTube Live, May 26th, 10 p.m. local time for me anyway. Awesome, awesome view. I sure hope you're enjoying it too. Look at some of the subtle details out and coming out through the structure there. Just a very, very neat spiral galaxy. Also interesting, take a look at the galaxy over there at the 10 o'clock position. It almost looks like a ring type of galaxy. I'm seeing a very centralized core, but a lot of almost a circular structure outside of that core. This is one of the cool things to do when you're visually observing or you're doing this electronically assisted astronomy, picking up this subtle detail because it's really about observing versus really getting a pretty picture. It's about observing these objects. What a great view. So let's zoom on out. A little bit past the meridian right now. Still in coma. I think we're in still coma Bernicius. Yes. No, take that back. We are actually in the constellation Virgo right now. So we're a little bit further south in our field of view in the constellation Virgo. Lots of galaxies in Virgo too. But there is our M61. Let's go ahead and up that a little bit more. Hard to believe we've been on the air now for already 33 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun, but we've seen 5 very prominent galaxies now with just in that span of time. Quite a few little ones as well here. Let's see if we can identify maybe what that one ring galaxy could be here in our Sky Safari app. And I'm going to go back to that because indeed the Sky Safari app is picking up the ring structure too. So we're actually getting that quite nicely as well. So let's take a look what I'm talking about. Here is the Sky Safari app. And remember when I was telling you that we've got a little galaxy to the about 10 o'clock there? Almost looks like a central core with a ring structure, and there it is. This is NGC 4301 that we're picking up here. That's a magnitude 13.1 galaxy, 64 million light years away. And the other galaxy that we were also picking up was this 12.2 spiral NGC 4292. So all of these galaxies are being picked up with us, as well as our wonderful Messier 61 there, M61. Hopefully you can pick out the smaller NGCs that we were just calling out there. Pretty neat indeed to be able to see that. I'm going to move over. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more than I usually would, just so that we can see that structure. So see this Galaxy M61 there is obvious to the right. Let me get it just about the middle here, about right here in the middle now. Hopefully it's coming through in the YouTube channel well, but you can really see some of the structure in that outer ring of the galaxy. So let's go over to our Sky Safari app real quick so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. 4301. Let's go back to our live view, and you can kind of clearly see that. So very neat indeed. Definitely got to go ahead and save this. Make sure I named it. Yep, there we go. So I do apologize if the AC unit is being picked up a little bit more here on the microphone. It's been quite warm here in Tennessee, and even though I'm inside my observatory, which is attached to the small little roll-off roof for the telescope. Um, I certainly am kind of comfortable in here being in the AC, so I'm trying to keep it that way. All right, so as we try to keep these YouTube live episodes to about an hour or under, let's go ahead and find our next object, which might be our very last, but let's see what else we've got. We certainly have our choice of galaxies here. I think what we will do is we'll add on M80, we'll end on M86, but we're going to have quite a few galaxies in this field of view here. It's a very well-known string of galaxies here. So we'll end on a really positive note. So let's go ahead and I think we got what, 13? Yeah, we got 13. Let me make sure I saved that picture of M61. Awesome, we got it. Okay, let's go ahead and pause our view. We'll move our telescope next to M86. Oops, turn off guide. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so let's get an idea of where we're going to look at here. This is our Sky Safari app. We're still very close. We're above M61 now, but we're actually still in Virgo. And we are going into an extremely dense area of galaxies. In particular, we are going to focus on what's called Markarian's chain, or just a portion of it at least, which is going to be centered up here with M86, which is going to be an elliptical galaxy. It's going to be a rather um, featureless galaxy. We're going to have M84 as well, but then we're going to have two galaxies over here to our left in our view called the Eyes Galaxy. And these are an interacting pair, gravitationally warped. So let's go ahead and clear this view of M61. And we'll see what we can get in this field of view. Again, we're sticking with about 45-second exposures. I generally like to keep my exposures as short as possible, but still able to bring in the detail. Let's see what we got here. All right, well, look at that. We have our two primary galaxies here that I was mentioning. M86 is pretty much dead center. It's an elliptical galaxy. Elliptical galaxies are some of the oldest galaxy types in the universe. Next to that, just to about the 3 o'clock position, is going to be M84. We have a very interesting spiral galaxy there above it, 4202 Ngc. And then we also have the Eyes, which is an interacting pair of galaxies. We just have a whole eyepiece, frankly, view of galaxies here. So enjoy it. This is what we're kind of looking at here. So the magnitude 8.1 is going to be our elliptical M86. Let's see how far away it is. Can't scroll down to get that information, but we've got a pretty neat little view coming in at the eyepiece right now. 57 million light years away. 67 million light years away for M84. And then the Eyes Galaxy looks to be about 37 million light years away. A couple of the smaller galaxies in this field of view, they vary quite a bit. 27 million, 40 million, 58 million. So that is our Sky Safari app. And let's go back to what we were actually seeing live. There we are. Just look at all of the galaxies that we are picking up here. All of these faint smudges that you're seeing, these objects that are just not dots of bright light like a star would be, these are galaxies. Look at them all. Just in our small field of view in this modest telescope with just 45-second exposures. Let's go out to our full view so you get the entire idea here. Those eyes galaxies, I love interacting galaxies, and those are definitely very, very cool because you can see the odd shape that their gravitational interaction is causing them. Just amazing. I'm gonna up our red just a bit here. Give a little bit of color balance. There we go. Still a little strong on our blue, but I kind of like the way that's looking right now. So we'll just leave that as is, let that build up for a little bit. All right, there we are. We've got 10. I'm going to go ahead and save this image and we'll call it a wrap for tonight. Just like to get on and share a few of the wonders of our universe with everyone, every opportunity that I can get. So if you like astronomy in general, and certainly if you like live astronomy, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. This way you can go ahead and know of all the episodes that we post up. I'm going to go ahead and add our objects list here to the descriptions so that we can have a record of what we've been able to view. All right, there we go. All right, everybody, that's going to be a wrap for this episode of At the Eyepiece. I sure hope to see you next time. So until then, clear skies so that we can all talk about it next time. at the eyepiece.